Welcome everybody to another episode of League One on the Rocks. We have an exciting preview tonight. We are doing a lineup for the Jägermeister Cup final this Saturday, and I guess I just want to jump straight into the introduction because I mean I'm just having so much fun already. You can find me on Twitter at I'm Rich but I'm not. Joined as always by Brian. You can find him on Twitter at Mediocre Ace. And our special guest tonight is head coach of Northern Colorado Hailstorm, Eamon Zayed. How you doing, Coach?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It's a big week. It's an exciting week. So yeah, it's we're going all guns ablaze to try and have our shot at glory on Saturday night.
Yeah. Going guns a blazing. It's a big week. You are making your media rounds too. You are doing a bunch of interviews.
Listen, yeah. Look, I mean, obviously it's a one-off game. It's a special game. There's no more games this weekend in USL League One. And yeah, I just you know want to put it out there and try and promote what I believe is as being an excellent competition so far.
Yeah.
I really do, and hopefully will be a really exciting final.
Well, we had you on earlier, I think just before the season started this year, and we had such a great time. Thank you for coming back for another episode with us. I I love the fact that when you join, even before we start hitting record, you just want to dive right in and start talking soccer. Like I love it because I mean, obviously Brian and I could talk soccer all day, but I mean, having the opportunity to chat with you like that, it's an incredible opportunity too.
Well, look, firstly, obviously, yeah, I appreciate you obviously having me back on. I must have been okay the first time that you invited me back on. No, like I obviously look. I'm soccer obsessed. I love talking about soccer. Listen, if I met either of you at a bar, would sit there for hours, chatting about soccer, and I love. There's I love obviously. I love the USL. I've been in USL League One since 2019, so I love being able to talk about it. And you probably end up having to press stop from stopping me talking about it so much. And also, listen, on the flip side, I do, um, coaches, yeah, we're all humans. We all have emotions. We all, we're people. We're soccer obsessed. We're fans. We're soccer fans at the end of the day. And I don't really see many coaches jumping on and doing interviews or podcasts. For whatever reason, each to their own. So I think it's a good thing that you can actually get an insight if you want to get an insight into what a coach is thinking and how he goes about his business. I think it's I don't know. I would like to if there was another coach on, I'd listen to them and get an insight into how they do things. So I don't know. Maybe there's interest out there from some people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you did speak highly of Matt Glazer on our previous episode, so we're actually going to have him on tomorrow night. So it'll be exciting
And I
to
will be.
get.
I didn't know that. I'll be tuning in. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll give away a couple of insights into Saturday. So I'll be listening to that. I'll be listening, Matt.
Right. We also got Rico in the chat already with "Let's Go." So, Hailstorm fans coming in already for you, Coach.
Good.
And I think Rico was one of the interviews that you had earlier today too, wasn't it?
He was on one yesterday. Yeah, I jumped on one yesterday, and Rico was on. Rico's great. Yeah, he does everything he can to promote soccer in Colorado. He's obviously a Hailstorm fan, a Colorado Rapids fan. I think he's also a Switchbacks fan. So fair play to him. Yeah, Rico's great, and he'll be at the game on Saturday, no doubt, supporting us.
That's cool. Love to see that. Well, Brian, what are you drinking tonight?
Tonight I don't have any alcohol in the house.
Yeah.
College football season and Nebraska having as many home games in a row as they have has completely cleaned me out. So, I just got water tonight.
I'm going back to old. This bottle's almost done, but I'm going back to Glendronach, the 12 year. So that's what I'm going with tonight. Coach, you got anything in your glass?
Do you know what I do? And I was actually waiting for this. I was waiting for this moment. So I have quite a I'm not a big drinker, right? But I do like to sip on a glass of whiskey. It calms me down at times. Yeah, so I do have a big whiskey collection, a big Irish whiskey collection. I have some good bourbons, but a good Irish whiskey collection. So tonight, I'll show you the bottle here. So if you can see it, it's Redbreast.
Very good.
Ooh.
So it's a single pot still Irish whiskey. My kind of people have asked me before in terms of whiskey, would I recommend anything? The best value I feel on the market, you can get it at any probably decent local store. There's a Redbreast 12-year-old. It's about $60 give and take for a bottle. It's the best value. It's really, really smooth, easy to drink. And it's not too expensive, as I said, at $60. It's worth every penny. So I would recommend that. This one I got is a special edition. I got it through the airport when I was coming back in the off season. It was an exclusive. I always try to pick up something unique, and yeah, it's lovely. I literally only opened it up actually this week. Obviously leading into the final, maybe I need to calm my nerves at times this week. So yeah, I opened it up. So that's Redbreast recommended.
If you weren't drinking Redbreast, what would be your like go-to choice?
Of whiskey or anything.
Let's go both.
Okay, so whiskey again. I'm biased. I'm sticking to Irish whiskeys because I love them. So again, another one that probably is my go-to if it's not Redbreast. There's a Green Spot. Right, it's made by Jameson, and they do Green Spot, which is their kind of lowest, and then there's Yellow Spot and Red Spot is their highest. Um, Green Spot is delicious. It's really nice, easy to drink. Anybody that I've ever kind of offered a glass to, they've always enjoyed it. It's probably in and around that $60 range for a bottle, and I think Green Spot you can get here no problem. I think it's more difficult to find a Yellow Spot or Red Spot. And look, if I'm not drinking that, I when I was playing football, I didn't really drink often unless it was an occasion or off season or maybe we're celebrating a win, we go out for a drink. So I wasn't a big drinker. Now that I'm in coaching, I don't have to worry about that. So probably since I've come to Colorado, I've got into a lot of craft beers. And a lot of the local breweries around Colorado are fantastic. So um, there's one local to us, Peculiar Ales, that's not far. It's actually a good spot if you're coming up to watch the game. It's about 5 minutes from the stadium, if that. And they have some really nice local beers. But then my favorite bigger brewery is New Belgium. New Belgium downtown Fort Collins is really really good.
Yeah, I
Completely
feel
agree.
like if you're talking Colorado beers, I mean, you got to talk Belgium at some point. Yeah,
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, they're really good.
that's awesome. Well, we are getting into spooky season as well. Are you into any like horror flicks or anything like that?
I am, yeah. Do you know what? Halloween is probably no, okay. Christmas is by far my favorite. I'm a big listen. I have my Christmas tree up 12 months of the year, right? And I get I wouldn't say abuse for it, but yeah, look, my missus is please take it down, please take it down, and then she just forgets asking, and I just keep it up. Um, so I do a big Christmas person, but no, I love Halloween. Oh, it's great. It's well, my birthday is October 4th, so it kind of same month. I think October is a great month. You got moving into fall, the leaves are changing, and the weather's getting a little bit nicer. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. So definitely big Halloween person. In the last few years, we've actually on Halloween Day we've made a tradition to go to Estes Park. And have you ever heard of the Stanley Hotel?
Yeah.
No.
Hmm.
So Stanley Hotel, Brian, you've heard of it, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. We actually, me and my family went there a few times just because of the ambiance and stuff around it. So I'll let you tell the story though
Oh
for
yeah,
those that don't know.
I'm excited to hear this.
Well, Stanley Hotel is cool. It's obviously a historic hotel, and it's in Essex Park, which is about 45 minutes from where I live. And the movie, again, we're talking about Halloween. One of my favorite kind of spooky movies is The Shining. It's a classic, and that was um, um, my mind's gone blank. The director who made that movie, Stephen King. Stephen King. Yeah, he got the idea and made it out of the Stanley. So they have a little maze out front. They have the room. I think it's room 217, if I'm not correct. I've been up there a couple of times where he puts the axe through the door and he's like, "Here's Johnny." So yeah, it's cool. You get that feeling, the spooky feeling when you go to the Stanley. It's actually a really nice hotel as well. So um, yeah, that's kind of like we go there the Estes Park shuts down. All the local businesses give out candy to the kids. And listen, I'll be honest, adults dressed up. Listen, I come home with at least a bag full of stuff as well. Um, I, I'm probably giving away my secret, and maybe this is so. Sometimes, like I'm a bit. Listen, I do have a sweet tooth, so I'll go up and I'll pretend. If there's a couple of kids in front of me, I'll pretend like I'm kind of with them, and then I'll open up the bag. So yeah. Listen, I love Halloween. So Shining is definitely one of my go-to kind of horror movies.
That's awesome. What's your
Very
go-to
nice.
candy for Halloween?
Ooh, there's a lot that I like. I like the little minis, the little snack size minis. You get mini Twixes and mini Snickers.
Hmm.
Um, Probably I do. Yeah, I do like a little mini Twix. And then occasionally, some places give you like a bigger bar, and you get excited. You might get a bigger like. I like the Skittles. I'm more like if you offer me chocolate or in Ireland we call it like jellies. It's just candy over here, but like um, Starburst and Skittles and those jellies,
Sure.
what we call them. Yeah, I'm more like that. Like I love like gummy bears, that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whenever I go to a gas station, my go-to snack is like gummy worms.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's my go-to.
Yep. Sour gummy worms for me. That's where I
Yeah,
go with.
sour gummy worms.
I'm definitely sour. Yeah. Yeah. For
Yeah.
sure. No, the more sour, the better for me. Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, we do have a match this Saturday, and I mean it's a big one, like you said. And so you're hosting Forward Madison in the Jägermeister Cup Finals. I
Yeah.
guess just to start off with a softball question, what's your general thoughts heading into the match?
Um. Yeah. Look, it's it's a game that I feel like when I look at the competition, I feel like the competition has been really, really cool. I think it's been exciting, and we've really obviously we've enjoyed being a part of it. And I hopefully the competition will be around for many years to come, and maybe even include USL Championship teams, which I know that they were looking at the possibility of. But the competition as a whole, I've really enjoyed. It's given coaches different options, whether to experiment and play some younger players, or give guys an opportunity that mightn't have played as often, maybe mess around with the lineups. And speaking of that, like our very first game was actually against Omaha away. It ended up being 2-2, but that was the very first game this year that I decided to put Bruno Rendon further upfield. I put him on the left side further up to see if we could take advantage of transitions and balls over the top into the space that Omaha gave us. And it worked. It worked wonders. That I think that we went one goal up in the first half, and it was a ball over the top to Bruno. So um, it gave coaches and teams the opportunity to look at different things. And we did. And at the same time, we wanted to win every game possible and try to see if we could qualify to the next round. So um, I've loved the competition and delighted that we got to the final game. Um, I think Madison on the other side, I think they've been really strong throughout. I think 6 wins and 2 draws, or 2 losses, shall I say. They've been really strong. And I think it's probably a worthy final. I think Madison deserved to be in the final, and you could make an argument. I know Brian, a big Omaha fan, the West was really strong with us in Omaha. To be honest, I think Omaha they finished on points that would have been good enough to maybe win another group. So it was. I think it was a worthy final between one of the Western teams and Madison. So I think it's a worthy final. Two of the best teams in the USL, if you ask me. Obviously, I'm going to say that, but I do believe that we're two of the best teams in the league. And I think it's going to be an exciting final because you're getting two teams that can both defend and can both score goals. So it'll be an interesting game. Yeah.
You mentioned that decision to move Bruno further up the field. What did you see in both his skills as well as the opponents that led you to believe that was a good move? Because it's paid off huge dividends.
Yeah, it wasn't even about the opponents to start. It was more about us. We start on the road to open up the season. I don't know, 10 games or so. We're on the road a lot, and the first 4 games didn't start off well. 2 draws, 2 losses. I think we scored 1 goal, maybe 2 goals in those 4 games. So it was more looking at our attack and structure. We had, if I remember correctly, I know Irvin Parra started the first few games. We had Billy King, Noah Powder, Cello Martinez. They're all players that are really good with their ball to feet, and they want the ball, so they want to come and get the ball. And I remember there was an occasion when we played Greenville. We lost to Greenville 3-1 to start the season. I think it was a third game or so. And I remember on my touchline, there was an occasion where Billy came to the ball. Noah, who was playing on the right side, Noah Powder, came to the ball. And I think Irvin, no, Irvin didn't start that game, but whoever it was, we all came to the ball, and I'm looking at it going, there's nobody running beyond, there's nobody in that space, and it was then when I thought, we need to mix our game up. We're so um, I guess easy to defend against. There's no threat in behind, and that's when I looked at what we had. I'd rather look at what we have than bringing in somebody and see if we can fix it within. And I knew Bruno had the pace, the athleticism. He loves to score goals. In training, he loves to score goals. He's one of our top goal scorers in training, probably every single day. So yeah, we tried it, and it paid dividends, and it made opposing teams kind of second guess, which is what you want to do as a coach. Well, are they going to go in behind, or are they going to go to feet? And even if you have somebody stretching in behind, and even if they don't get it, it opens up that space for somebody like Billy King, who's excellent at picking up those half space spots, turning and driving at defenses.
And that kind of leads into another question I had. It's more like a tactical question because you seem to line up in a 4-3-3 on a pretty consistent basis throughout the season. But the way that you move your players, obviously, it's not going to be a static 4-3-3. There's going to be a lot of dynamic movement, as you were just talking about filling space.
Yeah.
What what's the secret behind your system that has led you to so much success? I mean, spill your secret here now.
I was going to say, yeah. I mean, I don't know if Matt's listening at home, or I can't say too much. Well, no, I look, I mean, it's no secret. I don't really like playing a back three. So I do like playing a back four. So everything starts with a back four anyway. Whether it's a 4-3-3, 4-4-2, and I do like to. I don't, you say 4-3-3. At times it's a 4-2-3-1. At times it's a 4-4-2. At times there's a double pivot, two holding midfielders. At times there's only one, and I push the other guy further up. It does depend on who we play, but our principles always remain the same. Um, our principles definitely remain the same no matter who we play against, in terms of how we defend behind the ball, even when we have the ball. So I like to. The idea is to have plan A, plan B, plan C. And the guys are aware that if plan A is not working, well, we can shift to plan B. And if plan B is not working, we can shift to plan C. Or listen, we can maybe use all three depending on how the game goes. I don't want to be kind of stuck in our ways of this is how we play. And if a team decides to defend against it, we're we're stuck. That's how I like to play when we have the ball. When we defend, there's a couple of different ways how we defend. um I don't just we don't defend the same way all the time. We definitely have principles, but um in terms of our numbers, and how many we might have in our rest defense. But I don't like to defend in a certain way. It will that's the one thing. The defensive maybe structure will depend on who we play against, because um, if I take earlier in the year, I remember playing against Knoxville and they had a striker and then they had two tens, like kind of in those half spaces. And they didn't really, they attacked with their fullbacks. So it was all about how are we going to defend against, obviously, you have a striker, now you have two tens. How do we defend that? Versus maybe some teams only have one striker, and Madison, take Madison for example, right? And Matt, if you're listening, take Madison for example. They play they attack with a 3-4-3, right? And they they have their, let's say on one side it's Stephen Payne, but you also have Devin Boyce out there, and on the other side you have maybe Wolfgang Prentice, attacking down the left, and maybe Derek Gebhardt goes down the left alongside him, and maybe you have Krul as well, right behind, kind of joining the play. So we have to make sure that we're defending against that. So that will change how we defend. But attacking, we have a few different ideas of how we like to defend. If a team gives us the space in behind, if a team has a low block, if they defend in a back five or a back four, where's the space? So we'll vary up our attack. The idea for me is to give ideas to the players, because once they cross that line, it's them trying to execute it, and I don't want them thinking, oh, the ball over the top to Bruno, let's say, is not working. What do we do now? I want them to kind of figure it out and be able to figure it out with what we do in training.
And everything you're saying is leading me into a perfect question, because you speak of this this opportunity for players to exercise ideas, to have that sort of that sense of freedom to exercise, that decision making. They're not locked in to your system. They have that freedom to express themselves. When you were also talking about plan B and plan C, obviously Bruno's going to be, plan A, or at least he's been paying off dividends in that role. But you also have Ethan Hort and Billy King right behind him that have been paying off huge too.
Yeah.
How are you able? I mean, there's a recruiting aspect to bringing in these players because you see the potential, but then there's also the portion of your coaching that reveals um, that hidden talent, that potential. How are you able to both recruit the player and unlock that potential?
Yeah, I think recruitment is key in USL League One. Look, we're not like, you can speculate on budgets and all that. Like, I've seen it all. For the most part, budgets are quite similar. There's minor differences in terms of maybe one team spends a little bit more, but it's not enough to, I think, make a massive impact on what you have. I don't think it is anyway, from what I believe and what I've seen in terms of budgets. So you gotta yeah, you gotta be able to recruit and have an idea of what you're looking for. For me, I've been involved in USL League One since 2019. I've seen it kind of grow from the younger teams of North Texas and Orlando and New England to now it's a bit more independent, and a little bit the average age has gone from, I don't know what it was in 2019, but now it's like 26, 27, and you're getting more experienced players. Um, you're getting more experienced players um, involved, in the league. So, I guess when I recruit, I look at what things that I look for, aspects of what I think USL League One demands. There's certain things that I feel like you have to have in USL League One in terms of the position that you're playing in. I think, let me, if you're a six, right? If you're going to be a six, I feel like USL League One, there's so many transitions in USL League One that you have to have somebody in that number six role that will be able to break up transitions. I mean, I remember, for me, one of the best players in the league at that position. Actually, funny enough, he was in Omaha and he went to Tormente. Tobias Atieno. I think he was one of the best players in that six role at breaking up transitions. He was athletic. He could cover ground, and then listen, he could play on the ball as well. So I look for, in terms of that number six role, a Tobias Otieno type of player. I think Omar Cease does a really good job for Charlotte Independence in that role. So I look for those type of players in that role. I really like uh, fullbacks that attack, but I also want them to defend. So if I'm going to ask them to do that, and then I'm going to ask them to do that, they need to be athletic, or else they're going to get caught out, and they probably won't be able to play in the demands of what I'm asking. They won't be able to do so. So again, that's what I look for in a fullback. Um, but ultimately, when you bring these players in, I've worked with coaches who where I mean they were great coaches, but they always wanted to make the player better in terms of this is what you're weak at. Let's focus on that, and let's make that better. Let's make that better. Let's make that better. And by doing that, I always felt that they forgot about why you brought them in and what their strength is. So if I'm going to bring in a player, I'm going to try and identify very, very quickly from video, from recruitment, and then once I have them on site and we're training on a daily basis, what are you really strong at? What are your biggest strengths? Let's nurture that. Let's work on that. Yes, the stuff that you might be weaker at. Trevor Ammon, for example, I brought Trevor in, unbelievable finisher. I could see in training that he was a great finisher. He worked his balls off for the team, wanted to stay behind and wanted to work on finishing and get better at finishing. He already had a knack of being in the right place, right time. And I just wanted to nurture that and work on that. The things that he could have got better at were his link play, his link play as a striker wasn't maybe one of his strongest points. So we did work on that. But I always told him, yes, let's work on that, but never forget what you're really strong at and what will take it to the next level. That's going to be your goals. Your goals will take you to the next level. But then if you want to get to the next level after that, then yes, your link up play, for example, was another thing that he needed. Yeah, was something that he needed to work on. So um, with Ethan and Bruno, Bruno, get a great example. What are you strong at? You're athletic, you're quick, you're up and down. Then I noticed in train when I got him here, I didn't know before I recruited Bruno that he could finish. I didn't. I didn't really know that. But then when I'm looking at him in training, he's hitting balls off his left foot, right foot. He's trying to, he's really good in the air. Like he wanted to get himself in that box and wanted to score. So then I'm thinking, that's kind of one of your biggest strengths, but now you're playing right back. So how can we link it together? Can we work it? And that's kind of probably where the idea of playing him further up the field came about. I still feel his best position is right back or right wing back. For sure. Right wing back would be his ideal position, but I don't play a back three. But it get really strong 1v1 defending, really strong. I'm yet to see a winger like really beat him like multiple times in a game. They might beat him once, but multiple times in a game. I'm yet to see it, to be honest, in USL League One in the 2 years that I've had him. So yeah, work on your strengths. Can I bring your strengths out as a coach? And then yeah, we'll try to develop them, try to make your strengths even stronger, which I feel like we did with Trevor. He was a good finisher, but I feel like he became a better finisher, a more composed finisher. Um, and that's what I try to do if I can recruit a player. So I guess that's maybe a small, I don't know, maybe a small insight into what I look for as a coach and when I recruit players.
This is fascinating. Man, I could pick your brain all night. I'm going to throw it to Brian. I don't want
Well,
to give. I want to give him some chances to ask some questions too.
yeah, and I mean, Coach, just kind of going through and listening to you talk about kind of your philosophies and everything like that. I mean, obviously the league saw it too, with you being named coach of the rounds for round 2, 3, 6, and 8. So can you talk a little bit about what that kind of means to you to be named coach of the round for those rounds?
Yeah, like I'm people people see me on the sideline, right, and they think I'm crazy sometimes. They do. They don't know me. They've never talked to me. They see me, throw my hands up in the air. They see me arguing with officials. don't see the other side to me, I guess, which is a good thing. Why you might have coaches on and speak about, I don't know, movies and whiskey and whatever, because we're humans at the end of the day. I'm extremely competitive. It's all I've played for 20 years, and now I'm coaching. Like I love the game. I'm obsessed with the game. I could talk. I love talking to anybody about the game, but in particular, people who actually have an insight as well into the game and are also enthusiastic about the game. I feel like I don't know, Ted Lasso meets Roy Kent. I'm kind of the two of them mixed together, right? That would be my personality type. If I had
I
to
love
say
that.
anything, that would be me. But so when you ask me about coaching around, I don't, the individual awards are nice because they mean that you're doing a good job. But ultimately, it means that the team's doing a good job. You're not going to get coaching around unless your team wins, or coach of the month unless your team has had a really great month. It's nice. It means you're doing something right. It kind of, it does give you a little bit of confidence that, uh, you know, I'm going along the right track, and in the process it's working. Um, yeah, it's nice. I guess it's nice. I always say, and I genuinely mean it, like with soccer, you can be great one week, and then the next week it's the end of the world. You've lost the game, and you I mean, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, but take and I mean that, I genuinely mean that, but take Lexington. They've gone from 7-1 to 3-0 loss. Like, he probably, if I put myself in Darren's shoes, they've won 7-1. He must have felt unbelievable after that game. Like, this is great. The next day, the guys are buzzing and training. You're meeting people on the streets in the community. They're saying, enjoyed the game, great job. Whatever the case is, probably has his family back home ringing him saying, hey, well done, great job. And then 3 days later, 4 days later, whatever it was, you go out to Richmond and you lose 3-0. And it's like, oh my word, end of the world. Are we going to make playoffs? Again, I don't know. I'm just speculating on how Darren feels, but that's how I would feel, So round of the week, or coach of the week, or coach of the month, I probably enjoy it for a day or two. Genuinely, I'll enjoy it for a day or two, but then I'm like, all right, next game. And that's probably how I am. But yeah, it's nice. It's nice to get recognized, and it means that, for me, it just means it's like, okay, you've done a good job. Um, and I'm sure in any job, no matter what you do, coach, player, whether you work in, your local, coffee shop, or a bank, or whatever it is, it's nice when somebody says, hey, good job, you did well there. So it was, yeah, it's nice. For the moment when you get it. Yeah.
Did you approach the Jaeger Cup any differently than you did the regular season matches?
No, no, I didn't. I no, I genuinely didn't. And I probably because the schedule. So the schedule was, for us anyway, we literally just had a game every week for the first 3 months. There was times where, actually, I say a game every week, we might have had a game and we didn't have a game for 2 weeks. That happened a lot in the first few months of the season. So it was hard to get any routine, any consistency going for the first few months of the season. So I didn't have, I don't know if it's a luxury, or I don't know, it depends how you look at it. I felt I had to play my strongest team, who I felt was the strongest team, training well, fitness wise, going into the game. And that's what I did. The only games I approached a little bit differently was the last two games of the Jägermeister Cup, when we played Spokane away and we played Fuego away. It was kind of sandwiched in between games, and they were the only time I knew we were going to qualify as either winning the group, or by Fuego we had won the group, but I think by Spokane, like, nobody was going to catch us in terms of goals. So I knew that we were going to get to the next round. And they were the only two games where I approached it a little bit differently. But I say that in terms of maybe the lineup. You know, One thing I feel as a coach is, I do believe in a winning culture. I believe in you know, you want that not just in the starting 11, you want that throughout the squad. You want that in training, what you do every day. You want it to be competitive. So I don't like the idea of maybe playing the Jägermeister Cup. Let's just say some coaches may have, I don't know, but may have said, win or lose, it doesn't really matter. We have a game. We're not going to qualify for the next round, and we have a game the next week or in a few days' time. I don't like that. I want everybody within this group to want to win. And I know, for instance, I know 100% Omaha are the same. I know Omaha earlier in the group stages, they played a different maybe starting lineup at times, because you guys were juggling US Open Cup, League, and Jägermeister Cup. But I know 100%, I know Omaha, the organization, Gary Green, Dom, and the players, you wanted to win every game. And you would have been disappointed to lose no matter who was starting. And I want to create the same culture within our group, that an Omaha has. That we want to win every game, no matter who's playing. And if Bruno's on the bench or I rest him and somebody else comes in, well, I want the same attitude, application, and that will to win. And that's something that I believe in wholeheartedly. That you want to go out and win every game and mean it, and not just say it, mean it, and go out and try to approach it. So, and then I feel I have a job as a coach to try and get that out of the players. I can't go into a game, even though we qualified, we played Fuego in the last game. I remember down there, and we could have just said it doesn't really matter because we had topped the group. But no, I that wouldn't have sat well with me. So we approach it the same analysis, the same. We watch video, the same training ideas going into the game. Everything is the exact same, and even the players that might be regular starters but might have been on the bench. I want them to push the other guys that are getting their opportunity. I believe that leads to good things and it leads to a winning culture within the group. So to answer that, no, I didn't approach it any differently, and I wouldn't approach any game any differently, whether it's the US Open Cup, League, Jägermeister Cup. You have to approach it in the same manner. Now, in saying that, Rich, we're human, so if we're going into a final this week, it just by nature, by human nature, it's going to be, we're going to approach it the same, but training, the feeling around it is going to be different.
Yeah. And I mean, this tournament has, for us on the show at least, we've really enjoyed the tournament. And I know there's been a few maybe mixed emotions or mixed thoughts, with maybe some other content creators, other League One fans. But for you, as a coach of one of the teams involved in this tournament, what can you talk a little bit more about, like how you feel the tournament did this year, and what are some of the things that you like about this tournament? As with it being an in-season tournament, it has to be a little bit different than some of the other things that you see in other sports.
So the tournament as a whole, as I said earlier, really enjoyed it. I think the idea behind it at the start of the season, when it was announced that there was going to be a League Cup, and we're obviously waiting to see how it was going to play out. I wasn't entirely sure because I think my first, um, I wouldn't call it an issue, but my first concern was I'm looking at the schedule and I see Jägermeister Cup League, Jägermeister Cup League, and that's the schedule. And I thought it's kind of um, it's inconsistent, the schedule. Uh, and that was, you asked me how I would juggle it, and we didn't. We just played every game as it was, and didn't juggle it. So that was my concern at the start. I'm how it went. I'm okay with it. I would suggest that it could, if we can make it a little bit more consistent in terms of maybe the first few months it's league from March, April, May, and then maybe you just shut down for 6-8 weeks and play the Jägermeister Cup, and just play that and create the buzz and everything around that for 6 to 8 weeks with a final at the end of it, and then maybe you get back to league. I don't know, something like that, or maybe 4 weeks Jägermeister Cup, take a break back to the league, and then you finish the Jägermeister Cup off in September. Just something that is a bit more, I guess consistent, if you want to call it that, in terms of games. That was genuinely that was it. Now, in saying I was fine with, I was okay with it, but that would be my only, I guess, change for it. I would love for USL Championship to jump in and get aboard this. More teams, more maybe groupings. I think for fans, again, I know USL League One fans would enjoy that. Obviously, that's a given. We'd love to pit ourselves up against. Us playing down the road against Colorado Switchbacks would be great. I'd love that. I'd like to think that USL Championship fans, whatever about the clubs, I don't know what they think, but I'd like to think that fans would enjoy it. That they see different teams. They're not seeing the same teams all the time. In the Western Conference, they see an Omaha Union and a Fuego as opposed to the same teams that they play in the league. I think that would be interesting. I'd like to think that fans would enjoy it, and it would be interesting as well to play against. So I do like the idea of more teams, USL Championship teams, jumping on board. And I don't know what, I guess, USL Championship, what would their concern be? We've USL League One. I'm a USL League One advocate. I've been involved since 2019. We've played USL Championship teams in the US Open Cup over the last couple of years, and I don't know what the statistics are, but I'm pretty sure we're pretty much even with them in terms of wins and losses. I think last year was it we had a really. I think last year USL League One teams beat more USL Championship teams. Now listen, it's a one-off game, it's a cup game, but yeah, I think it would be competitive. It would be interesting. I love the idea of it. I really do. So they're the only two things that maybe next year would be pretty cool if we could kind of if the league and the people who look at it, if they could see if they could do. But other than that, I've really enjoyed it. Yeah, I thought it is not just because we're in the final. Maybe you're like, that's easy for you to say. No, I've really enjoyed it. I have. I guess you know it brings down the league games. There's only 22 league games. Now I do love the idea that you're only playing. We play Omaha home and away. We play Tormenta home and away, not three times or four times. I love that you play them home and away, and that's it. So I do love that idea. I guess from a coaching standpoint, the margin for error is so small. You drop points. You look at it in two ways. I know, for instance, take Tormenta. You guys are in. You sitting in eighth right now, or no? Richmond are eight now. I think.
Yeah, we're in ninth right now.
Yeah, the margin for error. There's 5 games left and 6 games left, and yeah, it's neck and neck down there in terms of that playoff spot. At the top of the table, Omaha. Listen, when we played Omaha after the Jägermeister Cup semi-final on the Saturday, I went into that game. I don't like to think too far ahead. I just like to think of that game. But you look at the standings, and I thought, if we can beat Omaha, we have a chance to nick the Players' Shield. But if we lose to Omaha, if we draw, who knows? But if we lose to Omaha, listen, you go 7 points behind Omaha with 6 games to go, or you ain't catching them. They're Omaha are too consistent. They're too good to drop 7 points. So it means that there's a lot more on the line with only 22 games. We got off to a poor start in the league. We lost 2, drew 2 to open up, and we're literally looking up, playing catch up, thinking, right, we go from 12th to 11th, 11th to 10th, and so on. And that's what we've been doing ever since the start of the season with only 22 league games. We finally got ourselves in a position where, we were maybe fourth, now we're sixth, where we can, maybe jump to a third, maybe jump to a second, a fourth. Obviously, a home playoff is what you want, but yeah, we're not catching Omaha unless something drastic happens, which Omaha are too good. They're not going to do that. So, I guess it's good in a sense that it's really competitive and every game means a lot more. But you don't want to drop too many points in a 22 league game schedule.
And speaking of those league games, you have the final Saturday But then right after that, you go into two league matches in the very next week. You have an away trip to Fuego, and then you have a home match against Tormenta.
Mm.
So how do you balance approaching winning the final versus currently sitting in sixth place, looking up the standings, wanting to have a first round bye in the playoffs?
I think my coaching experience over the last couple of years, and how I feel, again, each to their own. Every coach might think differently, but my experience of it is so. Last year, I used to look at a 3 game week, right, and I used to look at Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, depending on are we playing home or away, and I'm a planner, so I would try to plan ahead, and I've realized now that there's no point. And you might even think, all right, well, one game on paper looks easier than the other game. And it just doesn't work out like that. There's no easy games, there's no gimmies, there's no point in thinking ifs, buts, maybes. What if there's injuries and what if there's suspensions? And no, I'll just take the game on Saturday as the next game. How can we prepare? What's our strongest lineup? After that, I will not look at Fuego until the Sunday, the Monday, probably the Sunday. Knowing me, I'll wake up Sunday, or I might go to bed on Saturday already thinking about the game on Wednesday and Fuego and how we're going to approach it. And then after that, I'll think of Tormenta. And I feel like that has done me better than kind of trying to think, I'll play him on Wednesday and I'll play him on Saturday, or we'll approach it this way. So um, I will, yeah, I'll look at Saturday. I do believe that if you get a good result and a positive result on Saturday, it definitely it kind of leads into a good feeling in and around that Wednesday game. You know, the guys are in a happier mood. They're training with a buzz on them. Versus if you lose, it's now my job is can I pick the guys up because we have a game on Wednesday, and how do I pick them up, and what's the best way to approach that? So I'm just going to approach Saturday's game 100%, and then I will worry about Fuego and no Tormenta. Rich, I will not think of Tormenta until Wednesday night after the Fuego game, because I can't and I don't want to, because then I start getting. I just want to be fully focused on Saturday. I don't want to think about anything else after that. But there is two massive games after the game on Madison. There's 6 points on the line, and you know, if we're just if you're asking me to look ahead, I'm thinking, 6 valuable points in the league. We could be sitting after Tormenta. We could be sitting, I don't know, third, second, potentially in the league, and we have to play Charlotte. We have to play Madison, two teams that are right by us, or ahead of us, or behind us, but definitely within catching range if we get 6 points. But then on the flip side, I don't know. I might be looking after two not so great results, thinking, what can we get fourth? Can we get that home playoff? So I'm not going to think ahead until, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens, and we'll adjust, and we'll see where we are after Saturday, after Wednesday, and then after the following Saturday.
Well, I mean, it's a huge match, obviously, but one that you guys will be hosting. So, I mean, you guys have been dominant at home. You've only lost twice in the regular season at home, and you were undefeated in the cup at home. How have you really managed to lead the club through this much success at home?
Um, yeah, I feel like I would always feel like no matter what club I've played for, or listen, I've only coached Northern Colorado Hailstorm, but you always want to make your home a fortress, because home points are so valuable. They really are. I think when you play away from home, traveling in the states and time zones, and maybe weather. Listen, we went to Tormenta there recently. Rich, you were at the game. It was hot. It wasn't. It wasn't what we were used to weather-wise. And you might have to alter your game in terms of pressing versus versus a mid block. You know, I don't really like a low block, but maybe you drop a little bit. So at home, the good thing, first and foremost, the good thing about home, I always feel is, yes, we will always respect the opposition and analyze the opposition thoroughly, but I can more so focus on us. We're at home. It's our home. What are we good at? How are we going to play our game? And how are we going to impose our style? And that's what I'll always focus on more so, even more so when we're playing at home. Um, Listen, Colorado, there's obviously the altitude. So I've seen teams adapt and change their game. I'll take Chattanooga for example last Saturday because we literally just played them, and I analyzed I analyzed Chattanooga, and it was literally a waste of time because I did not see Chattanooga coming and playing 5-4-1, everybody behind the ball. Um, Usually they play, you know, they have Malango, Marsh, and Mensa. Usually it's two of the three. They decided to just play one of the three, and um, and maybe counter attack or maybe get a set piece. And listen, every coach, every team can do whatever they want. That's their prerogative, and fair play to them. They came away with a point, which is what they, I think, after speaking to them, which is what they wanted. Um, so it's about us imposing our game and how we can break a team down no matter what they play. If they decide to do a low block, if they decide to press us, whatever they decide to do, it's about us and how we can impose our game. Um, Again, there's the altitude, there's the travel into Colorado. We're an hour away from the Denver airport. It's not right there, so they have to travel up. So I can imagine coming to Colorado is not probably one of the places that teams enjoy coming to. Listen, I don't enjoy traveling to Savannah and having to jump on a bus and drive an hour to Statesboro, you know, and especially in the summer if the weather is hot, it just makes it unpleasant. It really does. So, you know, I would use that to my advantage if I was the Tormenta coach. You know, so yeah, we try to use it to our advantage, and I think by doing that, yeah, we've got definitely more positive results, and we've won a lot of games at home. And for me, at home is your bread and butter. You cannot just be a team away from home. You have to be good at home. You have to pick up points at home. And then how can you manage those away games to pick up points and I don't know, take advantage of maybe something your opposition does. But I think that's why we've been good at home, because we were able to establish our game. We're able to wake up in the morning in our beds and eat what we want the night before and a day of a game. That's massive. Like that's massive. It was massive for me as a player. I remember a big wake up call was when I came to Indy 11, and I remember that I think the first game was we played Tampa Bay Rowdies away from home, and I remember traveling thinking, all right, well, how long is this? Oh, yeah, well, it's whatever, 3 hours. Geez, I mean, in Ireland, 3 hours, I'm in Portugal. You know, and in America, I'm going from Indy to Florida. And then I arrived there, and it is so humid and so hot. And I'm a forward, and I'm like, you know, what, you want me to press? What are you kidding me? Like, how can I press in this? So yeah, like you know, there is an advantage for a team playing at home in the States, and some places have a bigger advantage depending on where they play. For us in Colorado, it's the altitude and it's the travel from Denver to Windsor. That is an advantage, so you have to use it. You have to use it to the best of your ability. I've noticed when teams come to Colorado, um, uh, not all the time, but I've noticed that sometimes teams start off really slow. They're getting used to their breathing and to the altitude, and by the second half, they seem to have found their second wind and they're better. So in those moments, you know, you see for the first 5-10 minutes, ooh, can we take advantage? Can we get a goal or two up in this first half? And then on the flip side, I've seen teams come, and I've seen players say it to our players, you know, whereby I mean, I'll give you an example, right? Stefan Lukic played for Chattanooga the other day, and you know, I like to have a relationship with my players. It's more than just I'm your coach. I like to get to know my players, and I have a good relationship with Stefan, and he's gone to Chattanooga, and I wish him the best. I always look upon how he gets on. So anyway, after the game, I'm talking to him, and he said, I tried to warn our players about the altitude, and they didn't realize it until they were there and they faced it. And in the second half, I think 3 players went down on cramp in Chattanooga. And Steph said, listen, even me, he says, I forgot how it was. And he says, Eamon, he made 2 moments. He goes, do you remember? He said it to him. He said, I faked 2 fouls, right? I faked 2 fouls. I said, hey, and I jumped on the ball, and the referee gave me a foul. He says, I did it on purpose. I needed a breather. I couldn't breathe. And he was a player that had been to Colorado and had trained here. So, um, yeah, it does. It definitely. And he said to me, he said, Eamon, I am telling you, make sure you get the balls in quick, because you don't want teams to get a moment to breathe. So the ball gets out, get it in, or play straight away, because they're looking for opportunities to breathe. And it's funny, I've seen it with teams. I mean, I've seen earlier in the season. Look, we're all open and honest, and Charlotte did it where Austin Pack would go down, and he would, I'm like, there's nothing wrong with him. But listen, it's fine. The dark arts of football. I saw Arsenal and Man City the other day. But listen, it's part and parcel of the game. Yes, it's frustrating, but I get it. I would listen. I'll be honest, I've done it before. I've said, hey, Lalo, oh, maybe give us something here. So look, it's every team does it, every coach does it, every player does it. It's so if we can use that to our advantage and not let Madison this Saturday. I don't know how they're going to come. I don't know if are they going to tire out in the second half? Are they going to be affected at the start? Maybe they're not affected at all. But I will see if they are, and if they are, we'll try to adjust and take advantage of that. If for whatever reason they are.
Well, I'm glad we're talking about your dominant form at home, because in the regular season, so you had some decisive wins at home in the Jägermeister Cup, but in the regular season alone, you've had 17 goals in 8 matches. 11 of those 17 goals were scored in the second half. 7 of those 11 goals were scored in the 70th minute or later. So what about your team, that stadium, your tactics enables the team to fight that late in the match and be so productive as well?
Yeah, I'm sure there's numerous factors, to be honest. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's something to do with the altitude and teams tiring out. I definitely, as a coach, I try to. I like my team to be fit. Like I would hate to go out and feel like an opposition has overran us, that they're physically stronger and fitter than us. It's one of our principles that we don't want to we want to be as fit as any team. We want to be as strong as any team, and it's something that we try to instill with our sports science and our strength and conditioning, that we can peak as the season goes on. We don't get weaker, we can get stronger, and using the altitude and the altitude training to maybe help us get stronger as the season goes on. So there's definitely some sports science and strength and conditioning that goes into trying to be fitter and stronger. Now, does that have any emphasis on the last 20 minutes? Yeah, it does. If you're fitter or stronger than your opposition and they start to tire out, why not? Again, I'm gonna we on Saturday, when they're right back of Chattanooga, he looked like he was cramping up towards the last 15 minutes of the game. I said, hey, give Real Gil, who we brought on, give him the ball. Just go at him every time. Take him on. Take advantage of that. You're fit. You're strong. You can take him on. So yeah, we try to use that. But I genuinely do think that, and I really do, our players, listen, like Omaha players, it's something. So when I played, and I keep using Omaha because they're the best team in the league, whether you like it or not. They're the champions last year and they're top of the league right now. So until somebody takes that crown off Omaha, they're the best team, and I believe that. So, one thing about Omaha is they never give up. Right, they just don't give up. They'll be 1-0 down. They don't care. They will fight. I've seen them in games where they're 2-0 down and they will fight. They go down to 10 men and they will fight. That is not a fitness thing. That's a player thing and that's a mentality thing. And our group of players, I see it in training. they hate losing. So if they're a goal down or if they need to push for that winner, they will continue and they will just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep. And I'm sure you see it in other sports, in boxing, like as a sport, they'll keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going until finally they might get that equalizer or they might get that winner. Or they boxing, they might eventually tire out the opponent and knock them out in the 11th round, whatever it is. That's a mentality thing. So yeah, sports science, fitness, altitude. I think it's just the group, the mentality, the never give up attitude, the want to win, that they will push and push and push, and ultimately, yeah, the second half, the 70th, the times are running out, and desperation gets in. Sometimes you see you always see, doesn't matter how good or bad an opposition is, if a team is winning, you always see the usually more times than not, you see the opposition forcing the ball, forcing the team to defend more, defend more. It doesn't matter who it is. I've seen FA Cup games in England where it's a Premiership team versus a second division team, but the second division team will fight all the way till the end to try and claw back into it, and that's football. That's the nature of it, and the will to win. So yeah, our guys have it. I think there's other teams, Omaha. I think there's other teams in the league that just will not die, will not give up. I also do. I'm not gonna. I do feel that there's teams we've played against, one or two teams recently where I felt we went maybe a goal or two up, and they just kind of, it seemed, this is how it seemed on the sideline, that they gave up. And maybe you look at the league position and you see, well, hold on, maybe that has something to play, like that you're giving up, and not going until the end. But then if you want to be a best team and you want to challenge, and ultimately you look at those teams maybe and use them as an example, the teams that are top of the league, they will not die, they won't give up. Omaha in the semi-final, it wasn't until we got two goals and they got two men sent off that I felt like they were like, all right, fair enough. Okay, games might be out of our reach, and let's look at Saturday. Honestly, that was it. Up until that point, they were fighting and fighting. So that's something that, yes, our team will fight. They will win. They do not want to lose. If they're a goal down, two goals down, they will fight till the end, and that's a characteristic and a mentality that I believe in as a coach, and I'll continue to do it as a coach. And my players, the players will do it. So
Very good. So I mean, we're talking about the final on Saturday. Um, and don't give anything away with your game plan or anything like that. Obviously, you
yeah.
probably already know that. But are there any matchups specifically in this match that you have coming up that kind of pique your interest more than others?
Yeah, look, there's I mean, when you look at it, it is. I mean, so the last couple of days I've been analysing Madison a little bit more, even though we've played against them and I watch them all the time anyway. Um, but I diving into it a little bit more. Like, I mean, there's definitely some interesting matchups. Like, I don't know lineups, right? But there's the idea of Billy King facing Stephen Payne, right? In the last game, ultimately the deciding goal after the second or third minute was Billy King coming in the back post and scoring. Can he get the best of Stephen Payne? I look at potentially Bruno against Wolfgang. Wolfgang on the left, Bruno on the right. I know Wolfgang. We had him in 2022. He's a hell of a player. I tried to bring Wolfgang back in 2023, in 2024. Listen, it wasn't meant to be. He went to Madison, and I remember when I saw Wolfgang Prentice on the bench for Madison. I'm thinking, Matt, you're crazy. Like, he needs to play. He's too good to not play. And finally he gets in, and now he looks like he's ever present on the left side. So that's an interesting one because Wolfgang is very direct. Like, he gets the ball and he runs down that line. He's kind of like an old school, like a Ryan Giggs type winger. I want to get down the end line and cross the ball. I want to get down and beat he's very really good with his dribbling. that's an interesting matchup. Will he get the better of Bruno? Now, Bruno is a phenomenal 1v1 defender. So it's an interesting one there. Devin Boyce is a player who was obviously at Omaha. Listen, I met Devin Boyce when he was coming out of contract at Omaha. I met him for a coffee. Not quite sure what the coffee shop was in Omaha, but I met him for a coffee, some coffee shop downtown Omaha. And it was, listen, it was all by the book. It was Greg Hurst was there. He's a friend of mine. Nothing was dodgy there. He brought Devin along, and I remember speaking to Devin, and he wanted to go USL Championship. He got his move, but then when he went to Memphis, I talked to him about bringing him here. But ultimately he wanted to stay in the USL Championship, and then I know ended up going to Greenville. And but again, a hell of a player. How are our defense going to cope against him? Cheney up top. Listen, he's a handful, absolute handful. Now, obviously, there's Galindrez and McLaughlin, who are also two really, really top strikers in USL League One. But Cheney, I imagine, will play. He's an ever present. Matt likes him a lot. How are our centre backs going to deal with Cheney? That's an interesting matchup, and we have to go through video, and we did in the last game. We'll go through it again, and go through his kind of Cheney's strengths. I don't really know much of his weaknesses, but he's strong in a lot of areas. So how are we gonna stop that? So there's a lot of matchups that we can look at, and there's definitely some matchups. I'm not going to say there's some matchups that I feel we're stronger in. That we can maybe we can, if we perform, I feel like we can maybe get a hold of in certain positions. At the same time, Madison have really like a lot of weaponry up top in their forward areas. As I said, Boyce, Prentice, Gebhardt, who I hadn't even mentioned. I mean, I played up top with Gebhardt for Charlotte Independence. Me and him used to be a strike force at the end of 2018 together. So I know Derek Gebhardt a lot. And Cheney, like, I mean, listen, they're a handful for any team. Those kind of four front players. Again, add in Galindrez and McLaughlin, but they're a handful. So how are we going to stop them? I think it's going to be, yes, there's going to be individual matchups, and it's really, genuinely as a soccer fan coach, I'm interested to see, because I know our strengths and I know what we're really good at, and can we get the better of them? But I do feel that on Saturday night, I feel like it's going to come down to defensively who on the night, because both teams have really strong defenses. I think both teams have, two of the best goalkeepers in the league in Lalo and Shipman. You can, yes, Austin Pack and Sean Lewis 100%. Nuhu, Jesus, how do I forget him? We're blessed in terms of USL League One in terms of goalkeepers. I really do. And you can make an argument for, oh, well, Nuhu's the best. Oh, Austin Pack's the best. Oh, Lalo Delgado's the best. Burnt Shipman's the best. You can make an argument, and we could be here all day long with that one. But ultimately, there's two really strong defenses, and there's also two really strong attacking players. And I think it's going to come down to defensively who performs the best on the night. I feel if we perform defensively, we win the battles against the Cheney and Apprentice. If we win the battles defensively, as a coach, I'm very confident in our team that we can cause them issues going forward, and we can nick a goal. And we've shown that against Madison earlier in the year, and last year. Listen, last year they came to us and close games, but ultimately we came out on top. And I think that's what it's going to come down to. If we, I can use it an example. We've played Omaha. I keep saying Omaha, but maybe because Brian's here, maybe because they're the top dogs in the league. I don't know. I keep using Omaha, but earlier in the year we played against Omaha and we defended unbelievably well against the Santos and Dolabella, and obviously other players that you have, and we won 2-0. It was a really strong defensive performance, and we got 2 goals. Second goal being a set piece, but we really overall strong performance. But then we play Omaha 2 weeks ago, and defensively were not at it. It was uncharacteristic. We weren't good on the night. Versus Omaha having really strong weapons up top. So if we're not going to be at our best defensively, well then, you know, teams like an Omaha and a Kungan at the Santos Dolabella and Madison, with a Cheney and a Gebhardt, they will take advantage. They will cause issues and score goals. So that's why I do really feel that if we are defensively strong and our defensive organization is strong, but individually we play to our potential defensively, I do feel that attacking wise with an Ethan Horde and a Real Gill, Noah Powder, Billy King, Bruno Rendon, Cello Martinez, who's playing against his older team, which is an interesting story as well to see how he gets on. I do feel that we will we will score, and I feel like we will win if our defensive structure, organization, individual battles, if we come out on top there.
Nice. Well, coach, like we are running up right against the stopping time here. We really appreciate you joining the show again. Do you have any closing statements you want to send out there to any of your Hailstorm fans that are tuning in or listening or anything?
Yeah, look, we're. I'll say this to the Hellstorm fans and people that are listening. Um, the last game against the semi-final against Omaha, we got a decent enough crowd, and there was a group of supporters that made a lot of noise behind the goal, and the guys really the team buzzed off it. They were talking about it the next day in training. Last year when we played Madison in the quarterfinal of the league playoffs, um, it was probably our best turnout of the year last year. I think it was pretty much a sellout, and the fans were fantastic, and that makes a massive difference. Like it does, it really does. The players, I am telling you, the players buzz off it. They get the extra little bit of energy and enthusiasm and excitement that comes with playing in front of your home support. So yeah, I'd love for as many people to come. It's the first chance. I've said it before. I'll say it again. The last time a professional soccer team in Northern Colorado won a piece of silverware was 2010 with the Colorado Rapids. So this is an opportunity to win a piece of silverware for Colorado, the state of Colorado. So it would be great to have as many fans as possible turn out for the game. I'm telling you, it makes a massive difference. I'm sure it's the same with every other team, but it definitely makes a big difference to us. And then look for the neutral supporter. Listen, Rich, I don't know what you'll be watching on Saturday because there's no other USL League One game, so I'm sure you're going to be tuning into it. Listen, Brian, sorry to say, yeah, I know you're used to making finals and watching Omaha there, but this Saturday, it's our chance. So, listen, Omaha fans, if you don't like Madison, come and support us or support us from the TV. Tormenta, I'm not quite sure if your fans are quite neutral, if they prefer Colorado or Madison. I don't know, but either way, um, please support us. Watch, tune in. It really will be an exciting game. I do feel it's two of the best teams in USL League One, two of the better best defenses, two of the better attacking players, best attackers, um, live on TV, and I just hope it's an exciting game for the neutral fan, but then for the Colorado fan. Look, I listen any way possible. I hope we win it. So yeah, tune in. It's going to be a great game. I really do feel it's going to be a great game tactically, coach to coach, player to player. You can match up honestly, goalkeeper to goalkeeper, right back to right. You can match up all over the pitch and have an argument for. Actually, do you know what? Maybe you guys can do it. A, a, a a best 11 from both teams.
Oh man,
Ooh,
That would be
that'd be
kind of
tough.
cool, you
That
know.
would
that
be
would be
cool.
fun.
And maybe ask the fans what they feel would be a best 11 if you could mix both teams. What would you feel is the best 11? I think that would be an interesting one. It would be a fun one. I'm sure there'd be opinions and it'd be split. So, yeah, that might be a bit of fun going into the final.
Yeah, that would be great. Well, we want to thank you once again, Coach Eamon, coming in here to chat with us. Best of luck to you and Coach Colin for the match on Saturday. For all the fans that are tuning in, listening, or watching us as we're sitting here live, kickoff is going to be 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. there in Windsor, Colorado. You can watch the match on ESPN Plus, but you should definitely be in the stadium to watch this one live. Thank you, Coach Eamon, for joining the show. We love having you on. It's always a pleasure. And best of luck to you on Saturday.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. Brian, you got anything?
I got nothing.
Cool.
I'm good.
Lads, I'll be watching. Is it Matt tomorrow? Is it?
Yeah, Matt tomorrow. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, let's try and ask him. Let's push him for like insights into his starting lineup. No, I got a question. Actually, no, I'm gonna actually not ask it because it's a secret in terms of what I feel he does. So I'm not gonna ask you to ask it. But yeah, push him and see what you think. Matt's great. Listen, Matt is great. I've had you get him after a couple of whiskeys or a couple of drinks. He's great. Like he honestly, he's one of those coaches that I'd happily have a drink with, and I do when I see him and chat to him. He's a good personality. He really is. You know.
Good. Can't wait to chat with him. It'll be his first time on the show.
Good.
Yep.
No, enjoy it. Enjoy it. He's a good guy. He is. He really is.
Good. All right. Once again, thanks, Coach, for joining the show. Brian, if you don't have anything else, I'm good to go too.
Yep. Nope. I'm good.
All right.
Lads, I appreciate what you do. I'll speak to you again soon.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Bye.